Have you ever noticed that almost all of the calisthenics athletes have huge arms? And don't you think it's funny that almost none of them actually train their arms, or at least not directly? And me personally, I haven't done an arm day in over a year. I have 10 years of training experience, but I just did, isolated bicep curls for a couple weeks only to realize I didn't actually need them because calisthenics by itself is more than effective enough. And so today I'm going to dive into the secret of why calisthenics athletes have such big arms. I'm going to answer the question on how you can use calisthenics to build your arms. Let's go. Okay, a quick disclaimer. For this video, I'm going to assume that you are aware of the 4 basic training principles that are taught by Master Roshi from Dragon Ball. You have to work hard, which is your training. You have to study well. You have to learn from your training and learn new things all the time. And then you have to eat and sleep plenty, right? Because if you're not eating, if you're not sleeping, if you're not training hard, then no matter what sport it is, you're not going to build your arms. So getting that out of the way, we can continue with the video. Okay, first I'll explain why in general calisthenics will build you bigger arms. And then secondly, after this, I will explain how you can take it to an even bigger extreme and build even bigger arms with calisthenics. So first of all, let's get one misconception out of the way. People often think you need isolation of a muscle in order to build it. So when you're training your arms, you need to isolate your arms in order to build it. But that's not true, right? Even if you are using multiple muscles at once, you will build all of those muscles. It will just be a bit more divided. And, people often think, well, in calisthenics, if I want to build my arms, I have to find a movement that is isolating the muscle. But the truth is, in calisthenics, you're using your body. You're using your body as a unit, I should say. And by that I mean that you're oftentimes using multiple muscles at a time. When you're doing a pull-up, your lats are working, your arms are working, your forearms are working, even your abs are working. Multiple parts are working together. It's a compound movement. Vice versa, right? In bodybuilding, a lot of the movements are isolated movements, right? And so you have an arm day, you have a chest day, you have a leg day, you have a back day. But in calisthenics, you usually just have movement days, right? So for example, you have a day for push-ups, you have a day for pull-ups, and in those days, you just train multiple muscles at the same time. And you're not really isolating your arms, but on any of those days, your arms are getting trained because there is almost no exercise in calisthenics for the upper body where your arms aren't getting used. When you do a push up, your arms are bending. When you do a pull up, well, your arms are bending. You're using your arms. There is no other choice. So you're always building your arms in calisthenics, and that's why they naturally become bigger without even you having to try. And there's a difference in mindset there, right? Bodybuilding guys will often think about isolating their muscle to grow their muscle. But in calisthenics, for most people, the goal is not to grow muscle. In fact, we are just focused on a movement. And as long as you're focused on becoming stronger at a certain movement, your body will have to adapt as a whole in the case of calisthenics. Just like in the gym, when you're doing a bicep curl, your bicep is adapting so that it can become stronger at the bicep curl. And in calisthenics, if you become stronger at a pull-up, not only will your biceps adapt, right, but also your back. You're building your arms, you're just building different body parts at the same time as well. So when you're doing dips, your triceps are building and also your chest and your shoulders. When you're doing the pull-up, your biceps are becoming stronger, they're getting bigger, but also your back and your shoulders. And for me personally, that's not a problem. I'm not complaining about building my back, having a bigger back and shoulders. I like that. And at the same time, I'm building my arms, right? So that's why, in calisthenics, you just focus on the movement and your body is adapting. And as long as you're eating enough, of course, you're gonna become bigger, right? Proportionally. But let's say you don't care about proportion. You want to go even harder in on the arms. That's where the second part of this video comes in, where you can change up the movement. Okay, so let's say regular calisthenics training is not enough for you. You want to build even bigger arms, disproportional to your body, or you just have bad arm genetics and the regular calisthenics isn't doing it for you. In that case, you can just modify your movements in order to use more of your arms. So an example of this is, for example, for the biceps, you can do normal pull-ups and they will work your biceps, but you can also switch your grip and then you will use more biceps. In case of the biceps, if you switch your grip from pronated, where your palms are facing outwards, if you change it to supinated, where your palms are facing inwards, in general, you will be using more of your bicep. So if you're doing chin-ups, it's more bicep than a regular pull-up, but also in more advanced movements, like the planche, if you do a regular planche, and I'm just doing a lean planche, which is very simple, but if you put your hands forward, that's a pronated grip, right? Or a neutral grip, like this, you will be using a lot of your shoulders. But if you use a supinated grip, where you open up your bicep, right? Open up your palm, all of a sudden, the point of failure, the muscle you're going to feel the most is not your shoulder anymore. It's going to be your bicep. And the greatest example of this is Levan, a guy from France. He is specialized in the supinated planche and he has the biggest biceps, I think, proportionally in all of the sport. It's insane how big of his biceps are compared to his body. So that's how you use more of your biceps. And when it comes to the tricep, right, you can do straight arm movements. There your triceps will be involved as well, for example, in the front lever. Or, if you're doing push-ups or dips in general, right? Most of the time we open up our arms a little bit. So perhaps I should show it like this. You know, we're opening up the arms a little bit and using a lot of our chest. But if we keep our arms closed like this, then we are using more of our tricep, like this. And so you can modify the movements in order to use more of your arms compared to the rest of your body, and then your arms will just explode. So, just to summarize, in calisthenics, we don't focus on muscle isolation in order to build a muscle. We focus on strength. We focus on becoming better at a certain movement, and that forces our body to adapt. So, it builds muscle in all of our body because we are using compound movements. And if you do want to focus more on a certain body part, you can change or modify the movement in order to use more of that body part. For example, when it comes to arms, if you are doing a bicep movement, use the supinated grip. If you're doing a tricep movement, keep your arms or your elbows close to your body, right? And that way you can build even bigger arms. But that's gonna be it for today's video. It's kind of a new style, so let me know if you like it. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another training.